everyone, I'm Claire Saffitz. Welcome to my home kitchen. Today I'm showing you Rice Krispie Treats, but of course I'm putting my spin on it because, like so many desserts, Rice Krispie Treats are delicious in the texture, but are so sweet. The way that I want to make them dials down the sweetness, but dials up the flavor and keeps the texture that we love. So I'm going to do a chocolate version, and I'm so excited because I love Rice Krispie Treats and I just haven't made them yet. Rice Krispie Treats are like that very nostalgic dessert. They're buttery and gooey and light and crispy, and like all of that is great. The problem is just that they're intensely sweet because of the marshmallows. There's a lot of ways that you can dial back the sweetness, and that's really just to add a bitter ingredient. So you can make like a matcha version, you could do a black sesame version, you could do a coffee version if you had like coffee extract, because these are all bitter ingredients that will balance out the sweetness. So today I'm kind of taking like an obvious direction, which is to do chocolate. But I'm adding chocolate in 3 different ways. It's still a straightforward recipe. I do have these things that I'm adding, but it's just gonna make for a Rice Krispie treat that like is well balanced, but still has all the texture and gooiness and crispiness of the original. Archie. Of course, I have rice cereal, 7 cups. I have a 10.5 ounce bag of mini marshmallows. You could use regular size marshmallows. Those get melted into the rice cereal mixture. Then I have an extra 2 cups of mini marshmallows because I like to fold these in at the end, and it gives you like gooey marshmallow pockets. Vanilla extract just to help with kind of boosting flavor a little bit. 1 stick of butter. I have flaky salt and kosher salt because any kind of chocolate dessert with like a certain amount of sugar in it is like, you want that kind of saltiness. 4 ounces of unsweetened chocolate. That's very important. I have cocoa nibs, which is just like the parts of the raw cacao plant. So they're like bitter and crunchy. That's gonna add texture, and then I'm adding chopped semi-sweet chocolate. So special equipment, you don't really need much. I'm using an 8-quart stock pot for melting together my base, and then I'll just fold everything in the pot. And then I have an 8x8 pan. You can also use a 9x9, it'll just be a little bit thinner. And I've lined it with parchment paper, but I'll talk about that in a little bit. And that's really it, a big spatula or spoon. I am going to get my heat on under my stock pot. I'm gonna do it on low. Basically everything happens here on low heat. I'm gonna start with my butter. I have a stick of butter. That's more butter than the like classic recipe on the box calls for, but the increased butter is important not just for flavor, but also for texture, because the addition of the 100% chocolate will make them set firmer. I still want them to be soft and gooey like the original. And so because of the addition of chocolate, I'm also adding more butter. So I'm scraping the butter paper, but I'm also going to use it to grease my parchment a little bit. So I have parchment paper that I put into my pan. I used oil in the pan so that the parchment stuck. But now I'm just using the kind of residue on the butter package to grease my parchment a bit, and I'm going to save it. I'm going to use it to help press the mixture into the pan. So I'm going to set this off to the side. So while that's melting, I'm going to chop up my chocolate, and that's just to make it so that it melts more quickly. You do want to be careful whenever you're cooking with chocolate like this. Like, I'm going to basically be heating it over direct heat in a sense, and you just want to use a low heat because it's possible to scorch the chocolate. So unsweetened chocolate is very bitter. And it's a great tool in baking because it is just such a key ingredient for balancing out really sweet preparations. So like brownies is a good example. Like, you need to add a lot of sugar to brownies to achieve the right texture, and then you can balance it out with unsweetened chocolate. So my butter is melting. Let me turn it up a little bit. Now I'm gonna add that 10.5 ounce bag of marshmallows. So these are melting. I have chocolate discs here. The idea is to leave some of the chocolate in bigger pieces. But if you're biting down, you don't really want to get a whole piece of unsweetened chocolate because I think it would be actually too bitter. So I have just semi-sweet here. You could use milk chocolate if you prefer that and want that little extra sweetness. So I'm just going to stir this as the marshmallows melt. So now I'm going to chop up these discs. If you're using chocolate chips, then that's fine. You can just leave them in that shape. The discs are just a little bit big, so I'm going to chop them up. Plus, I always like kind of irregular pieces. This is 5 ounces was gonna do 4, but I felt like a little bit scant. So my marshmallows are pretty well melted. I'm going to add a pinch of just kosher salt and a little bit of vanilla extract, about 2 teaspoons, and stir this in. So I just want this to be perfectly smooth. Some of the marshmallows just need to melt a little bit further to just be totally homogeneous. So now that I have this smooth mixture, I'm gonna turn down the heat just to kind of warm, and I'm gonna add my chocolate. Again, you don't want it to be too hot. I just want to add the chocolate and stir until that's melted, and I added the unsweetened chocolate. Now I'm going to just kill the heat, and we're gonna add, this is 7 cups. I'm using Rice Krispies. You could use any like puffed rice cereal. Once this is all added, then we just stir it together really well until the Rice Krispies are evenly coated. So I'm now going to add my reserved 2 cups of marshmallows, and this is still warm, so the idea is that the marshmallows are like gently, like just melt a little bit and kind of pull through the mixture. The cacao nibs go in. I'm gonna stir this through to start to distribute it. My gosh, my arm. Okay, now the chocolate's gonna go in, and a good healthy pinch of flaky salt. Flaky salt. I am going to start transferring it into my prepared pan. And it might look like a large volume for the size of the pan, which it kind of is, but the whole point is that we really compress this mixture. So I have maybe 20% of the mixture still left in the pan, but I need a little room for it. So I'm using that butter wrapper to press everything down to make a little room. So just scraping out the very last bits of the mixture. So this is everything. And I want to just get it down into a very firmly packed, even layer. And one thing I like about having like really compressed, tightly packed Rice Krispie Treats is that you can cut them into like super clean, beautiful cubes. And I think that the cube shape is super pleasing, more so than just like a rectangle. It works actually even better if you have one of those pans that has like really sharp, clean edges. This one is a little bit rounded. These just need to set. So I'm gonna set these off to the side where they're going to cool and set, and then we'll come back maybe in a half an hour. And so you just want them to be very firm before you cut them. I stuck these in the fridge, which helps to speed up that setting process. Now I'm going to pop them out of my pan and get them onto my cutting board. And now I'm gonna slice them. I want them to be pretty much cubes, so I think I'm gonna cut them into 3 by 3, which are gonna make pretty large pieces, but I think in terms of the dimensions, that's gonna look best.
What made you decide you like cubes so much?
Just as like a pleasing orientation. I love the cut sides. And I like the little pockets of marshmallow, kind of breaks up the texture a little bit, and then I love the like little shards of chocolate that are in there. So it's time to taste. They're still soft. See how I can kind of squeeze it? They are not too sweet at all. So much texture. You have that light crispiness from the cereal, firm crunch from the cacao nibs, and you're kind of like unsure, is it chocolate or is it the nibs? It all kind of works together, and then you have these like gooey pockets from the marshmallow, where like you get a pop of sweetness and you get a pop of salt, then you get a pop of bitter. You have all the different kinds of crunch and soft texture, plus intense chocolate flavor, but also really well balanced. And I think the format is really cool. These like kind of giant, really fun cubes. Definitely kind of more of like an adult Rice Krispie Treat because of the bitterness of the chocolate. A great party, like hostess gift or like potluck snack. So good. And to me, like a really, it's not just like a spin on the classic for the sake of putting a spin on it. So I hope you give these a try. It's summer now. Actually, it is kind of a fun activity for kids. Kids are home, you gotta fill up the space.
They look
the
like
time.
Minecraft bricks.
I don't know what that is. I don't know what that means. Thank you for watching our channel, Dessert Person. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Don't they make a chocolate Rice Krispie treat? I mean, no, sorry, a chocolate Rice Krispies. It basically tastes like that, but in a good way.